Yo, what's good guys, it's Steven, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how you can make a dark sample for someone like Travis Scott or Sheck West. So yeah, let's get into it. So firstly, obviously I'm in Ableton, as you can see, and this is the project I'm going to be breaking down today. And before I get into it, obviously I'm going to play it for you guys, so here's what it sounds like. So you guys get the idea. It has like that dark, creepy sound to it, and it's also around like a 90 BPM, so it's definitely in that Travis lane. And so now I'm going to start breaking it down, and the first part I'm going to start breaking down is the original A section of the sample. And so the first sound that I used in this sample is this pad from Analog Lab called the Crying Pad, and I just played a classic 5/1 chord progression and just a little bit of top notes at the end. And so here's what it sounds like by itself. And then for the processing on the pad, the first plugin that I added, which is a plugin that I've been using a lot more recently in a lot of my newer videos, is this plugin called Sketch Cassette. And it just basically is like a tape machine plugin like RC20, but I actually prefer it over RC20. And it just gives it a little bit of saturation, compression, and a little bit of flanging. The next plugin that I added is this plugin called Thermal. And didn't save the preset, but basically it just gives it like a little bit more saturation again, and it also makes it sound a little bit more warm. And then after that, I just took out a lot of the highs and a lot of the lows, just because I wanted to filter it and make it sound a little bit more ambient. And for the next sound, I just pulled up the sub bass called Bottomless Pit from Analog Lab. It's actually from the Prophet 5. And the only thing I did to this sound is I turned up the cutoff by a little bit, so it had a little bit more of like those like growling mids. And so here's the pattern I played out. And for this bass sound, I just wanted to go for a lot of those like Mike Dean type vibes. So I had the bass changing octaves a lot and just have a little bit more like melodic components to it. And then after that, I played a little top line with my electric guitar. But as you can tell, it's going to sound like reversed and warped. And I'm going to show you guys how I got that sound. But here's what it sounds like with no effects. The first plugin that I added is Guitar Rig, which as you guys can see from some of my previous videos, it's one of my favorite plugins to use. And I just chose this preset called Fuzz versus Reverse Split. And the main plugin with this is the Psycha delay. It just has like the reverse delay option on it. And so basically it just like warps it and slows it down a little bit. And then the next plugin I added after that was just this EQ. Because in the original guitar, there were a lot of like harsh frequencies, especially in like the mids. So I just wanted to take all of those out. And then after that, I actually used Sketch Cassette again. And I just have this plugin called Stranger Flanger on it. And as you can tell by the name, it has a lot of flanging, and it also has a little bit of flutter and wow. And then the last two plugins I added were this delay. It's basically just like a 1/8 delay from Arturia Memory Brigade. This is one of my most recent favorite delay plugins to use, so you guys should definitely go check that out. And then the last plugin I used is this plugin called Faraday Limiter, and I actually didn't tweak anything except for the output, which I turned up by almost 10 dB. Just because the original guitar signal wasn't even that high. And then after that, I just added this little bell top line to kind of complement all the rest of the sounds. So here's what it sounds like. For the sound, it's just a preset from Analog Lab and the Mellotron. And the only processing I actually did to it was I just added Sketch Cassette with this unstable stereo preset. It basically just turns up dropouts, the compression, and then a little bit of the tape in the mix side over here, just to make it sound a little bit more old and in the background. And I definitely recommend that you guys start using panning in your samples because it can really make your mix stand out. And so yeah, that's it for the A section. And then for the B section, the first sound that I actually started with was this bass. I just grabbed this Analog Lab bass from the Mini Moog, and I just played the same bass line as the original pad, and here's what it sounds like. And as you guys can tell, again, it has that like Travis Scott type sound to it. And the only processing I added to it was R bass. And all this plugin does is adds a more low end to it, so it makes it stand out. And then I just took out a little bit of the top end because there was a little bit of fuzz in the really high end. And then after that, I just played a melody out with the classic 5/1 chord progression. And as you can tell, I just made it a little bit more melodic than the original pad. And so here's what it sounds like. So for the sound, I just grabbed the Laptop Yukon preset from Analog Lab, and I'm pretty sure this preset is actually in Loophole. And the only thing I did is I turned off the portamento, and then I actually did a good amount of processing on the sound. So the first plugin that I added was Sketch Cassette again, and I just added the preset called Dirty Drums and turned down the saturation. And pretty much all this does is gives it a little bit of detune and compresses it a lot. And then the next plugin that I added is Portal. And if you guys follow me on social media, which if you don't, be sure to go check it out. It's just at @StevenSchaefer_. Me and Pilgrim have been working on this crazy Portal bank for you guys. We actually already finished the Portal one, and we're also going to do a Thermal one too for you guys. So be sure to stay on the lookout for that. It's just a bunch of crazy experimental presets for you guys to use. And I actually chose this preset called Space Crystals and turned down the mix to about 5%. And all of these presets are completely customized. Me and Pilgrim went in and we pretty much just tweaked all these knobs pretty much from scratch. So that definitely gave the sound a super cool texture. And then after that, I actually added 2 EQs. One of them is to take out a lot of like the mids, because again, the Sketch Cassette gave it like a lot of harsh mids to it. And then after that, I actually added this. Preset in the Pro Q called Bass Guitar Brighten. And this just kind of brightened up the sound, made it stand out a little bit more in the mix. The next thing I added were these vocals, and for these vocals, what I actually did is I just chose this vocal loop, and then I pitched it to the key, and then I made another one and time stretched it by a double. And so layered, here's what it sounds like. And the first processing plugin I put on this was Guitar Rig, and I just chose the preset called Water to give it a little bit of flanging and a delay. And then I added this pretty basic EQ just to take out a lot of like the harsh frequencies again. And then I added Sketch Cassette with a dusty drum machine. This was just for a little bit of saturation and detune. So as you guys will be able to hear, this first half is actually just duplicated and then rendered. And then I just reversed it over here. So here's what it sounds like. And so from there, I pretty much just added textures to the sample. So here's what the textures sound like when I play them both together. There's only 2 of them. So the first texture was this piano loop that I found in a one-shot kit, and I just chopped it up and pitched it to match the chords again, so it goes down by 5. And for the plugins, I really didn't even have to add that much because the original loop was already really processed. But I just added this stranger flanger again, and it just gave it like a flanging effect and a little bit of like tape. And then I just have this percussion loop that kind of plays in the background. I also pitched it down by a lot, as you can see, almost an octave. And for the sound, I actually only use thermal and a low pass filter. So this is the thermal preset I use called Fortune Teller. And then again for the low pass filter, I just have it to like 1500K, and it just takes out all of the high frequencies. And so yeah, again, here's the full sample after breaking it down. So yeah, that's it for the video. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more stuff like this. As I mentioned, me and Pilgrim are going to be dropping our Portal and Thermal Bank very soon, so be sure to stay on the lookout for that. It's about to be a super crazy kit for you guys. And yeah, be sure to go follow me on social media at @StevenSchaefer_, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.